Thank you all so much for being here. My name is Doyal Guranga Das. I'm one of the managers here at the Bhakti Center and also one of the co-hosts for our program. This is a Nitai Pada Kamala series, a 4-part series on the tattva, pastimes, and as well as bhajans and teachings of Lord Nityananda leading up to his appearance day coming at the end of the series. This event and this collaboration is co-hosted and coordinated by a number of yatras in the Northeast area of the United States. And near the end of our presentation, Yashoda Dulal will acknowledge and mention all of those teams that come together to make these programs happen. We are extraordinarily excited and grateful today to be welcoming back with us His Grace Amarendra Prabhu. And the first part of today's series will be on the tattva, the philosophical foundation of the understanding of who is Lord Nityananda. Amarendra Prabhu will speak for about an hour, about 60 minutes, and then we will leave space for questions and answers. And so if you have any questions, you can write them into the chat to Yashoda Dulal Prabhu. He will be fielding all of our questions. You can write the questions to him, and then he will field the questions that can ask either directly or on your behalf, and then Amarendra Prabhu will answer those questions. So that will be the flow of the program. And stay tuned at the end because we will be making some important announcements about future programs that are coming up that we want you to be aware of. I kind of feel like Amarendra Prabhu needs no introduction, but I feel like I would like to take a moment just to appreciate and glorify him for being here. We all know he's well known for his speaking and tellings of Srimad Bhagavatam. He's an initiated disciple of His Holiness Radha Govinda Maharaj. He holds a master's in electrical engineering and a master's in information technology management. But that is not why we are here to listen to him speak. We are here because he is known for the beautiful poetic way of describing Krishna Katha, for his deep realization, for his humor, for his accessibility of ancient teachings, and his ability to synthesize ancient tradition and deep philosophy with a modern application. And so we're super, super grateful that you're here with us, Prabhu, for giving your time, giving your association, giving your knowledge. So without further ado, we turn the microphone over to you, and we look forward to hearing you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Can be coincidence that Doyal Gauranga is starting off the series based on Nityananda. So thank you for kindly being our host today, and thank you all the wonderful organizers from different yatras who are putting up this very, very beautiful, exciting series on the glories of Lord Nityananda Prabhu. My prostrated obeisances and warm welcome to all the guests, the Vaishnavas, the Vaishnavis on the call. I have been asked to speak on the tattva, which in Sanskrit means the philosophical basis or the philosophical conclusions. In Sanskrit, the word tat means that, and tattva means thatness, which means the philosophical identity or the philosophical scriptural conclusion of the identity and the glories of Lord Nityananda Prabhu. It's a it's a very uphill task because the pastimes of Nityananda Prabhu are so exciting, so intoxicating, devotionally so nourishing, and also they leave behind so many beautiful, wonderful insights that we can gain from on the path of bhakti. So many wonderful principles and lessons that we can incorporate. But that's kept for session 2 and 3. His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj and His Grace Adi Gadadhar Prabhu will be serving us that very beautiful, wonderful feast of the pastimes of Lord Nityananda Prabhu. But for today, I will try my bit to, on the basis of scriptures again, to speak a few words on the identity of Lord Nityananda Prabhu. Before I begin, I want to say I am no authority on this topic. I am not someone very experienced on this topic, but whatever little I have heard or read on this topic of the identity and the glorious position of Nityananda Prabhu, and most importantly, the relevance of Nityananda Prabhu in our life, that's what I will try to articulate and try to speak for the next 60 minutes or so. So please, everyone, kindly offer your best wishes and blessings and prayers. May the right words come at the right time, in the right spirit of glorification of Lord Nityananda Prabhu. May this bring satisfaction and pleasure to all of our ears and hearts. And ultimately, may this cleanse our consciousness as servant speakers and servant listeners on this forum. Let us all be purified by this attempt to glorify Lord Nityananda Prabhu. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupaha Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guroho Shri Yutapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Saha Gana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusutta Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gaurvani Prasharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschati Deshatarane Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. So today's discussion will be based on the Chaitanya Charitamrit, on the Chaitanya Bhagavat, on the Chaitanya Mangal, and the songs of the Acharyas, all of that put together from different pieces from different scriptures and different references. So if you feel inspired, if you think that's something that you would feel wanting to do, you can keep a notebook. And if there is something that resonates with your consciousness, if there's something that you want to take home, you can kindly pen it down, because I'll be giving you references for the different verses and the different philosophical points. So if there's something that you feel inspired by, don't hesitate to take a note of that, because the works of our acharyas are our life and soul. We understand Krishna only through their realization, their experience, and their heartfelt effusions in the form of their wonderful songs and scriptures. So let us read a verse to start with. This is Chaitanya Charitamrit Adi Leela, chapter 5, entitled The Glories of Lord Nityananda Balaram, text 7. So we'll read this verse and then get into the discussion. Again, to repeat, this is Chaitanya Charitamrit Adi Leela, chapter 5, entitled The Glories of Lord Nityananda Balaram, text 7. Sankarshana karanato yashai Garbhodashai chapayobdhishai Sheshascha yasyamscha kalasanitya Nandakhyarama sharanam mamastu Sankarshana karanato yashai Garbhodashai chapayobdhishai Sheshascha yasyamscha kalasanitya Nandakhyaramaha sharanam mamastu. One last time. Sankarshana karanato yashai Garbhodashai chapayobdhishai Sheshascha yasyamscha kalasanitya Nandakhyarama sharanam mamastu. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. The translation: May Sri Nityananda Ram be the object of my constant remembrance. Sankarshan, Sheshnag, and the Vishnus who lie on the Karana ocean, Garbha ocean, and the ocean of milk are his plenary portions and the portions of his plenary portions. Purport. Sri Swarup Damodar Goswami has recorded this verse in his diary to offer his respectful obeisances to Lord Nityananda Prabhu. This verse also appears as the 7th of the first 14 verses of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. Sri Nityananda Prabhu is often understood as non-different from Balaram, is often quoted, often prayed to, often glorified as the direct incarnation of Balaram in the age of Kali Yuga. Narottam Das Thakur also sings the same thing. Brajendra Nandan Je Shachi Shuta Hoilo She Balaram Hoilo Nitai Balaram Hoilo Nitai. Narottam Das Thakur has sung that Brajendra Nandan Jay, the son of Mother Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj, appeared as the son of Shachi Mata and Jagannath Mishra, as our very beloved Shachi Nandan Gaurahari, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in the age of Kali Yuga. And along with him, his brother, that is Krishna's brother Balaram, appeared as Nityananda Prabhu. Balarama hoilo Nitai, Balarama hoilo Nitai. Balaram appeared as Nityananda Prabhu. So Krishna Balaram of Dwapar Yuga, who previously appeared as Ram and Lakshman in Treta Yuga, have appeared as Chaitanya and Nityananda, or Gaur Nitai, in the age of Kali Yuga. Even Bhaktivinoda Thakur in his song has written the same thing. Bhaktivinoda Thakur glorifying Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu, he has said, Vedera pratigya rakhi bare tare Rukma varna viprasuta Vedera pratigya rakhi bare tare Rukma varna viprasuta Mahaprabhu name nadiya mataya Mahaprabhu name nadiya mataya Sange bhai avatuta. Bhaktivinoda Thakur has said that in the Vedas, there's a prediction, there's a proclamation that the Supreme Lord will come in the age of Kali Yuga as Rukma Varna. He will come in a golden complexion. And Viprasuta, he will come as the son of a Brahmana, Jagannath Mishra's son, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Vedera Pratigya, Vedas have taken a pratigya, they have given their word, they have proclaimed, they have given a prediction, a foretelling that Rakhi Bare Tare Rukma Varna Viprasuta, that the Supreme Lord in the age of Kali Yuga will come in a golden complexion and he will come as the son of a Brahmana named Jagannath Mishra. So this was predicted thousands of years ago in the Vedas. But Rakhi Bare Tare, to protect this proclamation, Mahaprabhu appeared in the age of Kali Yuga. Mahaprabhu name Nadiya Mataya. He appeared in the village of Nadia, or our Navadip Dham. But he didn't come alone. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, along with him appeared Shange Bhai Avaduta. Along with him, his Avadut brother. Avadut means the transcendental brother appeared in the form of Nityananda Prabhu. So it is of paramount importance to understand the position of Balaram, Nityananda Balaram, in the age of Kali Yuga. And very specifically, what is his ontological position? What is his spiritual identity? And what is his relevance and relatability in our lives? How significant is the position of Nitai or Nityananda Prabhu in our lives? So we'll see that from the basis of the Shastra. Krishna performs his pastimes in Vrindavan, Mathura, and Dwaraka. And of all of these different dhams that Krishna performs pastimes in, his pastimes in Vrindavan are considered to be the most sweetest, the most intimate, where Krishna performs human-like pastimes. Not human pastimes, but human-like pastimes, where the awe and reverence at the lotus feet of Krishna is missing, because the relationship is completely imbued with intimacy. There's madhurya rasa, there's sweetness in all the dealings in the land of Vrindavan. Therefore, Aradhyo Bhagavan Vrajesha Tanayas Tadhama Vrindavanam. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has said, of all the different forms of Krishna, The form that is found in Vrindavan is the root. Swayam Bhagavan. He is the root of all expansions. No doubt, Krishna has Matsya, Kurma, Varaha, Narasimha, Vamana, Parashurama, Rama, Balarama, Buddha, Kalki, the Dashavatars. They're all expanding from Krishna. And the forms of Krishna also ultimately come from the form of Krishna in Vrindavan. So the form in Mathura, the form in Dwarka are considered to be the Prakash or expansions of the original root of all forms. And that is Shamasundar, Radhika Raman, Rasik Shekhar, Yashoda Nandan, the son of Yashoda, the sweet darling child of Braja, or the eternal Lord and beloved master of Srimati Radharani and the Gopis, Gopinath, Radhanath, the Lord of the Gopis in Vrindavan. That is the Swayam Roop. That is the original form. All of this that I am explaining now is found in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. So Krishna in Vrindavan is the source of unlimited strength, unlimited opulence, and he's the source, the only root of unlimited expansions of his own divine personalities. Now Chaitanya Charitamrita describes this Krishna in Vrindavan. He takes two primary expansions. This is something very, very intricate, very, very interesting. He takes two primary expansions. And in Sanskrit, those two primary expansions are called Prabhav Prakash and Vaibhav Prakash. I repeat, the two primary expansions from Krishna in Vrindavan are called Prabhav Prakash and Vaibhav Prakash. I'll give you an example on the basis of Chaitanya Charitamrita of both of them. And how do we understand the difference between the two? Kaviraj Goswami explains, Prabhav Prakash is that expansion of Krishna where his mood and his complexion remains the same. So Krishna in Vrindavan, his mood is that to be the object of all affection. So even the expansions all have the same mood, that I am to be loved, I am to be served. That's the mood. And Krishna's complexion is that of a bluish black, freshly formed monsoon rain cloud. Therefore, he's called Ghana Shyam. Shyam means dark complexion, and Ghana means as thick as a rain cloud, monsoon rain cloud. So when Krishna expands in a way that his complexion and his mood both remain the same, that is called as Prabhav Prakash. What is an example for that? When Krishna expands into many Krishnas in the Rasa Leela, in the Rasa dance, to reciprocate with all the gopis, each one of those Krishnas look alike. They look like the original form of Krishna. They all have bluish black complexion, and all of their moods are that of Rasik Shekhar. They are the ultimate taster of all divine transcendental mellows. Krishna is in the mood of tasting affection. He's in the mood of receiving affection and divine love. He's in the mood of being served at that point. So when the expansions have the same mood and the same complexion as the origin, that is called Prabhav Prakash. Well, the confusion then is, if all of them have the same mood and all of them have the same complexion, and Krishna's dancing with all the gopis, then how do you know who's the Swayam Roop, the original, and which are the other Prabhav Prakash? Well, it's very simple. If he's dancing with a gopi, then that is Prabhav Prakash. That is an expansion. And if he's dancing with Srimati Radharani, then he's the original. He's the Swayam Roop. He's the root of all those expansions. So that's the first kind of expansion. The second kind of expansion, as previously mentioned, is called Vaibhav Prakash. Now, what is Vaibhav Prakash? Vaibhav Prakash is that expansion of Sri Krishna in Vrindavan, where both the mood and the complexion are different than that of Krishna. What is the mood? For Krishna, the mood is I am to be served. And when he takes a Vaibhav Prakash expansion, the mood becomes I am only meant to serve. There Krishna thinks I am to be served. In Sanskrit, that is called as Sevya Abhiman. He has the mood that I am to be served. I am the object of all affection and service. Therefore, I must be served. And when he expands in his Vaibhav Prakash, since the mood is different, the mood is now that I am the servant and I only want to serve. I should serve, I must serve, I ought to serve, I live to serve, I must serve. That's the mood. That's called Sevak Abhiman. this mood that I am fixed in the spirit of being a servant. That's the difference in the mood. Now, what's the difference in the complexion? Original Swayam Roop Krishna in Vrindavan is bluish black complexion. But his Vaibhav Prakash expansion, he has the complexion of a freshly formed spring white cloud. I think everyone's guessing where we are going in this discussion. As Krishna takes these two expansions, the Prabhav Prakash examples are very clear. Krishna dancing with the gopis with the same mood and complexion as the origin. But then what's the example of Vaibhav Prakash, where the mood is different and the complexion is different, that of Krishna? Well, Kaviraj Goswami explains, the best example of Vaibhav Prakash is Sri Balaramji. He has a different complexion and he has a different mood. Krishna is in the mood that I must be served. Balaram is in the mood that I must serve. I must serve. Eka hi swarupa dohe bhinna matrakay adi kaya vyuha Krishna lila rasahai. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami has explained that just like Radha and Krishna are one, but they expand into two to have very beautiful, sweet pastimes. Similarly, Krishna and Balaram are actually one, but they again become two, again to interact and have sweet pastimes. The difference is Radha and Krishna expand on the platform of Madhurya Rasa, Shringar Rasa, and Krishna and Balaram expand on the Sthayi Rati, on the base of friendship or brotherly affection. So when Krishna himself expands as his best servant in the mood that I want to serve as much as I can with unlimited potency at all times, in all places and circumstances, in all ways possible, that is called Balaramji. So Balaram, when we see him on the altar, we must understand he's actually Krishna, but it is Krishna expanding to teach in this world how to serve Krishna as the best servant. Now it doesn't end there. He expands further in different ways in Vrindavan to serve. Let's go through a few examples. According to Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu, all of us have a fixed sthayi bhav, which means steady mood of devotion. We are in one of the different relationships with Krishna, either as a friend or as a servant or in parental mood, etc. But Balaram, he is under the category of Sankula Rati. Sankula Rati means he expands in all rasas possible, in all rati possible, in all affectionate dealings possible to serve Krishna. What are some examples? In Shantaras, or the mood of tasting neutrality, Balaram in Vrindavan expands as Vrindavan Dham, the pastime platform place for all the beautiful, wonderful pastimes in Vrindavan. That Vrindavan Dham himself is the expansion, bodily expansion of Baladev Prabhu or Balaram. First. Second, our acharyas describe Balaram also is the clothing on Krishna's body. He's also the cow-herding stick. He's also the flute. He's also the ornaments on Krishna's body. And all the flowers and the leaves and the different cosmetic decoration on Krishna's body, that's all expansion of Balaram. So asana, which means a sitting place, vasana or vasana, clothing, asana, vasana, bhushana, ornaments, paduka, Krishna's shoes, chhatra, umbrella, chamar, the different worship paraphernalia, asana, vasana, bhushana, paduka, chhatra, all of this are expansions of Balaram. So this is Balaram serving in Shantaras, in neutrality. Then when Balaram comes into Dasyaras or Dasyarati, he serves Krishna as a servant. When Krishna gets tired, it's Baladev Prabhu or Balaram who's massaging Krishna's lotus feet and massaging Krishna's back as a humble servant. And then Balaram in Sakhiras as a friend is cutting jokes with Krishna, sometimes even making fun of Krishna. And then when Krishna starts crying, he embraces Krishna. Now in Vatsalya Rasa, in the mood that I am the older brother. And in the absence of the parent, it's the duty of the older brother to take care of the younger brother. So Baladev Prabhu in Shantaras is serving. In Dasyaras, he's serving as a servant. In Sakhiras, he serves as an equal. In Vatsalyaras, in the absence of Nanda and Yashoda or Rohini Maya, it is Baladev Prabhu in the forest who's always overprotective of Krishna. It is described Balaram protects Krishna like the eyelid protects the eyeball. So that's Balaram in Vatsalya Rasa. And then Balaram again expands in the pastimes of Radha and Krishna in the beautiful pleasure groves of Vrindavan as Radharani's younger sister, Ananga Manjari. So in this way, we see Shantaras, Dasyaras, Sakhyaras, Vatsalyaras, and Madhuryaras. All are tasted by Baladev Prabhu. Neutrality, service or servitude, friendship, parental love, and at the same time, conjugal mood. In all ways possible, Baladev Prabhu or Balaram is serving, and not to forget the dham in himself. All the pastimes in Vrindavan take place because of Balaram. It is described that this dham of Vrindavan is like a lotus flower. And we know when the sun rises, the lotus opens up. And when the sun sets, the lotus closes. Therefore, they have a very good friendship. Why is Vrindavan called as a lotus flower? Because during daytime, when the sun is up, the lotus of Vrindavan Dham opens up. Why? Very, very significant point. During the daytime, the demons come finding Krishna. They want to find Krishna in Vrindavan. So the demons sent by Kansa Maharaj from Mathura, they come into Vrindavan searching for Krishna in an attempt, of course, failed attempt, to kill Krishna. So what does Baladev or Balaram do at that time? Because the sun is up, the lotus of Vrindavan Dham as Balaram keeps expanding and opening and opening and opening. So when the demons come closer to Krishna, the flower opens further only to throw them back in space. Then when they run closer to Krishna, the lotus of Vrindavan Dham expands further only to increase the distance between the demon and Krishna. And in this way, by the time the demon actually approaches Krishna, he's fatigued and he's very tired. And all that Krishna has to do is just knock him down and the demon falls dead. On the other hand, exact opposite is done at night. When the sun sets, Srimati Radharani wants to meet Krishna. So for Radharani to come and meet Krishna, the distance might be between Radharani and Shri Krishna might be very long for her. It's a long, far distance for her to cover at night. So what does Balaram do as Vrindavan Dham? The lotus flower with sunset closes, which means the petals come closer, only to mean the distance between Radha and Krishna is reduced and they can meet very easily at night. So in this way, Balaram serves in many beautiful ways in Vrindavan. Now we will see philosophically what happens when Balaram steps out of Vrindavan. We will write a few terms here. Krishna in Vrindavan is called Swayam Roop, and Balaram in Vrindavan is called Vaibhav Prakash. We have already written that. Now, when he expands out of Vrindavan, which means when Krishna goes to Mathura, Krishna goes to Dwaraka, and Balaram goes with him, that Balaram is called Mool Sankarshan. Mool means root, and Sankarshan is the name for Balaram. So when Krishna is in Vrindavan, he's called Yashodanandan. When Balaram is in Vrindavan, he's called Rohini Nandan. But when Krishna leaves Vrindavan and goes to Mathura and Dwaraka, he's called Vasudev. And when Balaram goes with him to Mathura and Dwaraka, he's called Mool Sankarshan. This is very interesting. Just like Rohini Nandan Balaram in Vrindavan, he is the cause for the expansion of the Dham, all the paraphernalia, all the wonderful ingredients for serving Krishna. And not to forget, all the residents of Vrindavan Dham are also expansions of Rohini Nandan Balaram in Vrindavan. So just like everything in Vrindavan comes from Rohini Nandan Balaram in Vrindavan, when he leaves Vrindavan and goes to Mathura and Dwaraka as Mool Sankarshan, as the root of all existence, that Mool Sankarshan is responsible for the expansion of Mathura Dham, Dwaraka Dham. So all the services that Krishna gets in Mathura and Dwaraka is under the care and concern of Mool Sankarshan Balaram. Mool Sankarshan Balaram is the root of all jivas in Mathura and Dwaraka. Mool Sankarshan Balaram is the cause for all the services in Mathura and Dwaraka. He is the head of Department of Service in Mathura and Dwaraka. So Rohini Nandan Balaram takes care of services of Krishna in Vrindavan. And Mool Sankarshan Balaram, he takes care of the expansion of the Dham, the abode, the pastime place He's in charge of the ornaments of the Lord. He's in charge of the servants or the jivas who are coming in that specific abode of the Lord. He's in charge of everything, all the expansions there. He doesn't stop there. Now that Mool Sankarshan has another expansion called as Maha Sankarshan. And where is that? That's in the realm of Vaikuntha. As we know in our cosmic chart of the structure of the universe, we have Goloka Vrindavan. We have Goloka Vrindavan, and then we have Mathura, Dwarka, etc. But then we also have the Vaikuntha planets, which are filled with opulence and so much awe and reverence. The worship is out of Vidhi Bhakti, or reverence, in a reverential mood towards the Supreme Lord. So Rohini Nandan Balaram, just to map our discussion till now, Rohini Nandan Balaram is in charge of all the expansions in Vrindavan. Mool Sankarshan Balaram is in charge of all expansions and services taken care in Mathura and Dwarka. Now he expands further to form Maha Sankarshan Balaram, that is in Vaikuntha. So in Vaikuntha, innumerable Vaikuntha planets come from the body of Maha Sankarshan Balaram. And he is in charge of manifesting jivas in Vaikuntha for the service of Lakshmi Narayan. The serpent bed is coming from Maha Sankarshan. All the paraphernalia needed, all the ornaments needed, all the different worship ingredients needed, the whole mood of service in Vaikuntha comes from Maha Sankarshan Balaram. And not just that, from Maha Sankarshan Balaram, there is a manifestation called as Mahavishnu. He is that original Mahavishnu, or Karana Udakashayi Vishnu, whose breathing, inhalation and exhalation causes innumerable planets to manifest from the pores of his body. It is this Mahavishnu, Karana Udakashayi Vishnu, who glances, and innumerable jivas are impregnated in this material world. How beautiful is this? Krishna in Vrindavan as Swayam Roop manifests as Vaibhav Prakash, Rohini Nandan Balaram for service in Vrindavan. Rohini Nandan Vaibhav Prakash Balaram manifests his form as Mool Sankarshan in Mathura and Dwarka. He takes care of the dham and the services in Mathura and Dwarka, which means outside Vrindavan. And that Mool Sankarshan expands as Maha Sankarshan to manifest innumerable Vaikuntha planets, all the services there, all the ingredients there, all the moods there, all the different paraphernalia that is found there. It's all coming from Maha Sankarshan. And not just that, even Mahavishnu, who breathes in and creates material universes, who is the cause of the impregnation of this material universe through glands. Jivas are impregnated into this world through his glands. That Mahavishnu, also called as Karana Udakashayi Vishnu, he comes from Mahasankarshan. Now it doesn't end there. That Mahavishnu, or Karana Udakashayi Vishnu, after he creates innumerable material worlds and material planets as the sitting place for all of us to perform our stay here after turning our face away from Krishna, what happens? Karana Udakashayi Vishnu or Mahavishnu expands as Garbha Udakashayi Vishnu. And this Vishnu enters every universe. Every universe. We may have heard that from the navel of Vishnu appears Brahmaji, who creates the universe. Which Vishnu is that? That Vishnu is called Garbha Udakashayi Vishnu. So Mahasankarshan in Vaikuntha expands to form Mahavishnu, who creates the universes, and from Mahavishnu, the expansion is called Garbha Udakashayi Vishnu. He enters every universe created by Mahavishnu, and he sits on the base there, or he lays down on the base there, and from his navel comes a lotus flower in which Brahmaji appears, who creates that specific universe. And now, finally, to the end of the table, it is Garbha Udakashayi Vishnu. After who has entered every universe individually, he makes his final expansion called as Kshira Udakashayi Vishnu. And where does that Vishnu reside? He resides in every atom of this material universe. And not to forget, the super soul, the Paramatma, that is Kshira Udakashayi Vishnu, always guiding us personally. He's spending one-to-one time, right? Every expansion in the form of the Jiva, we get an individual Paramatma That is Kshira Udakashai Vishnu. So Krishna in Vrindavan expands as Vaibhav Prakash, Balarama in Vrindavan expands as Mool Sankarshan outside Vrindavan, expands as Maha Sankarshan in Vaikuntha, expands as Mahavishnu who glances and creates universes, expands as Garbha Udakashai Vishnu who enters every universe to create the Brahmaji, finally expands as Kshira Udakashai Vishnu to become Paramatma for every living being, and also expands to be the all-pervading Supreme Lord in every atom of this creation. Now, this Kshira Udakashai Vishnu or Paramatma is the source for all of us as Jivas. How beautiful is this? That Balaram ultimately is the cause for our existence. We depend on the Paramatma, Kshira Udakashai Vishnu. Kshira Udakashai comes from Garbha Udakashai. He comes from Karana or Maha Vishnu. Karana Udakashai or Mahavishnu. Mahavishnu comes from Mahasankarshan. Mahasankarshan comes from Mool Sankarshan. Mool Sankarshan comes from Balaram in Vrindavan, who comes from Krishna ultimately. So it is Baladev Prabhu who's serving in so many ways. After all of this service, the important point to be noted is that not just the fact that the Jivas come from Balaram, all of our abilities comes from Balaram. Our service attitude comes from Balaram. All the things in this world meant ultimately for the service of Krishna comes from Balaram. Every relation in this world, every rasa that is manifested comes from Balaram, only to make Krishna the center of the whole creation. Balaram has done so much service, so many universes, so many abodes, so many jivas for the service of Krishna. And after all of this, he expands as Anantashesh, and he enters the bottommost part of the universe to support all these universes on his head as Anantashesh. After doing all of this, when we living beings who are manifested only for the service of Krishna, because as we previously established, Balaram does only things for the service and the pleasure of Krishna. So we are also manifested for the service and the pleasure of Krishna. But when we don't agree to that principle and we want to plunge in the material external energy of this world called Maya Shakti, then that same Balaram, who was expanded in so many ways as the bottommost Ananta and the topmost Vaibhav Prakash, when we living entities turn our face against him, he expands as Guru to come and hold our ear and take us back to the service of Krishna. How beautiful is this? Balaram is all over the place. He's serving in all ways possible. And this is why he's called Ananta. Ananta means, Anta means end, Ananta means one without an end. Endless, unlimited service. Every living being in this world who's serving Krishna, he's ultimately tapping into the energy coming from Baladev Prabhu or Balaram. Balaram also has a name called Shesha. We may have heard this name, Shesha, Ananta Shesh, right? Or Shesh Nag. What does the word Shesha in Sanskrit mean? According to Vedic mathematics, the word Shesha refers to a remainder. That which remains at the end is Shesha. So why is he called Shesha? Two meanings. Meaning number one, when all of us go back into the body of Mahavishnu at annihilation, and before we are all exhaled out as creation, what remains in this world as the ultimate remainder is Baladev Prabhu. He's the only one who remains, expanded in so many ways. And also the word Shesha means that which remains. So in the context that after Balaram or Baladev Prabhu has performed so many services, still if there is some service left behind as a remainder, he comes and finishes it off. So this is why he's called Anantashesh. He has unlimited taste to serve Krishna. And even after expanding and serving so much, if there is some service left, he comes and finishes it off. So now to take the discussion further, Balaram, when he comes with Ramachandra, he comes with a very ferocious, authoritative position as Lakshman. When Surpanaka tries to approach Sri Ram in a very unethical manner, it is Baladev Prabhu as Lakshman, as Guru Tattva, as the authority, as the source of all of our lives, who is cutting the nose and ears of Surpanaka for breaching etiquette. When he comes as Baladev Prabhu with Krishna, So when he comes with Ramachandra as Lakshman, he's very fiery and he goes by the rules and everyone surrenders to him by force because he's ultimately the Lord, the source of everything. Similarly, when he comes with Krishna as Balaram, he carries a plow and he carries a club in his hand. Jayadev Goswami has sung, Jaya Jaya Deva Hare Hare Jaya Jaya Deva Hare Keshavadrita Haladhara Rupa Keshavadrita Haladhara Rupa Jaya Jaya Deva Hare Hare Jaya Jaya Deva Hare. Oh, Keshavadrita. Keshava Sri Krishna expands as Haladhara Rupa. Hala means plow and Dhara means to hold, as Balaram. So what is the point made here? As Balaram, he carries a plow, he carries a club. And why is that? The plow is used to till or plow the field. Balaram understands that when he comes in this world and he comes as Guru Tattva and we are his disciples or we are ultimately the jivas manifesting from him, if we have a consciousness which is not fertile for the seed of devotion to fructify, then he takes the plow and he tills or plows the soil and cracks open all the rocks and stones. Our heart is stone-hearted, rock-hearted. So Baladev Prabhu as Guru Tattva, he takes his plow and he tills or plows the field of our heart and makes it fertile. And then when the seed of devotion gets the sunlight and rainwater of hearing and chanting about Krishna, so hearing about Krishna is the sunlight and chanting about Krishna is the rainwater. So Baladev Prabhu, he plows the soil of our consciousness, makes it fertile. Then the seed of devotion fructifies to give fruits and flowers when it is exposed to the sunlight and the rainwater of hearing and chanting about Krishna. Then why does he have the club? Well, in Sanskrit, the word mushal or a pestle is basically traditionally used to grind spices so that it splits into the flavor and the flavor is released. So the club of Balaram is to show that after I have plowed and tilled the soil of the consciousness of my disciples or my devotees to make the soil fertile, then when the seed of devotion gives rise to fruits and flowers of very beautiful emotions, then in the form of the club, I use it as a pestle to release all the flavor so that my followers, my disciples, my devotees, they can taste the flavor of devotional service at the lotus feet of Sri Krishna. So this is why he carries all of that, to plow. And then if there are weeds which are growing in the form of lust and anger and pride, then he will take the club and also bash it down. Just like we see Balaram, he killed Roma Harshana while Roma Harshana was on the Vyasasana. He was giving a class, a Bhagavatam class, and Balaram went and killed him. Also, Balaram went on to break Yamuna Maharani into tributaries when she did not appear before him. So in all the incarnations we see, as Anantashesh, he's hissing. As Lakshmana, he's very powerful. He can cut the ears and nose of Surpanaka. As Balaram, he can kill Roma Harshana and authoritatively even threaten Yamuna Rani, the holy river, auspicious river, that I'll break you to tributaries. But that Supreme Lord, when he comes in his most loving, affectionate, compassionate, merciful, magnanimous mood of begging, crying and begging at the lotus feet of his own jivas, that form of Baladev Prabhu is not called Lakshman, is not called Balaram, but is called Sri Nityananda Balaram. He's called Nityananda. When he is authoritatively creating Vrindavan Dham, he is Rohini Nandan Balaram. When he's authoritatively dragging cities into the ocean, he is called Mool Sankarshan Balaram. When he's authoritatively creating Vaikuntha planets, he's called Mahasankarshan Balaram. When he expands as Mahavishnu, he's Karana Udakashai, the root of everything. When he comes in this world as Guru Tattva, he even twists the ear and disciplines the disciple. But when he comes in his most loving, affectionate, forgiving, magnanimous, unlimitedly magnanimous form, that is not called Rohini Nandan Balaram, that is not called Mool Sankarshan Balaram or Mahasankarshan Balaram, but that form is called Nityananda Balaram. This is why the chapter is entitled Glories of Lord Nityananda Balaram. How beautiful is this? How wonderful is this? So, Lochan Das Thakur has said, that Lord who can destroy the jiva, the jivas are living on his back. As Ananta Shesh, he's holding the universes, and we are all living on top of those universes, insignificant planets of those universes. Lochan Das Thakur says, when the root of all that Ananta Shesh comes in front of the living being, he can authoritatively pull them down to his lotus feet. But when he goes door to door knocking with grass clasped between his teeth, begging on his knees, rolling on the dust, saying, I will become your servant. I will become your slave. You can sell me wherever you want. Please chant the names of Gauranga. Please worship Gauranga. Please speak about Gauranga. Give your life to Sri Krishna. And I promise you, I will become your servant. You will become happy. Just think about it. He can just come and knock at the doors and say, do you even realize you live on the head of the portion 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 of my plenary portion? And I am the root of all that expansions coming at your doorstep. Surrender to me. He could just authoritatively do that. In the Chaitanya Bhagavat, we see when Nityananda Prabhu went to the house of Srivas Thakur. Srivas Thakur's good wife, Malini Devi, at that time was making an offering to Krishna in a brass bowl, and it was filled with ghee, and she was making an offering of that ghee to Krishna. And a very hungry, very fallen crow came flying in and picked up that bowl and started flying in the air. And Malini Devi, who was in the middle of her offering, she started crying. She said, such an inauspicious omen this is. I have been offering to Krishna, and this crow comes and dips in and takes this bowl. What do I do? Nityananda Prabhu came out and he said, what's the matter? He said, Malini Devi said a crow picked up my offering. And, it was a pure offering and it's become completely putrefied now. What am I supposed to do? Nityananda Prabhu, now as the root of all expansions and as the root of all incarnations and as the root source of all the jivas, he looks at the crow and he orders the crow, bring the bowl back. And Vrindavan Das Thakur explains the crow got so scared. He turned and came and dropped the bowl back and offered his obeisances at the lotus feet of Nityananda Prabhu. And Malini Devi fainted unconscious looking at this miracle. And at that point, Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur says that Nityananda Prabhu, who can actually bring back our forgotten consciousness of service to Krishna, when he can bring back our consciousness, what to speak about bringing back a crow of this world? That's not astonishing. Vrindavan Das Thakur says, what's astonishing is Shonar Parvate Jai Dhulate Lotai. Nityananda Prabhu, he does not display any anger. He's always begging. He who can authoritatively order when he is told by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to preach the message of the names of Sri Hari, he goes from door to door, knocking the different doors and begging at their doorstep. And Lochan Das Thakur says, Shonara Parvat, he looks like a golden mountain. Shonara Parvate Jai Dhulate Lotai. And that golden mountain is rolling on the dust outside the doors of those dwellers in a village in Kali Yuga, in this material world. Nityananda Prabhu is begging outside their door that I will become your servant. Just accept Sri Krishna's holy name. So for our benefit, the Supreme Lord, when he comes in the most loving, magnanimous, forgiving mood, where he's eager and ready to serve the jivas of Kali Yuga, so that we can do justice, we can do good to our own souls. That is Nityananda Prabhu. There has never been an incarnation like Nityananda Prabhu, where God expands as his own best servant in unbelievable compassion. And his compassion goes to all the living beings in all parts of this universe. Even in the pastime of Jagai and Madhai, very famous pastime, this mood of Nityananda Prabhu's magnanimity and compassion has been seen. When the two drunkards, they hit Nityananda Prabhu with a half-broken, liquor-filled mud pot. They threw it on the forehead of Nityananda Prabhu and created a scratch, or a big scratch with a lot of blood coming. They hit and caused hurt and harm and wound to the head of Nityananda Prabhu. What did Nityananda Prabhu do at that time? Very, very interesting psychology of Nityananda Prabhu. His body is completely transcendental, which means there is no blood, there are no bones, there's no skin, there's no flesh, there's no sweat. None of these things exist in the transcendental form of the Supreme Lord. But at that point, Nityananda Prabhu manifested blood. And what is the psychology behind it? Nityananda Prabhu was thinking, these two drunkards, Jagai and Madhai, will never in this life, in this state of intoxicated, fallen, contaminated, polluted consciousness, they will never approach Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And without approaching Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, how will they get inspired? How will they get uplifted on the path of Krishna consciousness or Krishna bhakti? So Nityananda Prabhu thought at that point, they will not go to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. They will not meet Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But for them to be uplifted, I have to make Chaitanya Mahaprabhu meet them. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu must come to them because they will not go to Mahaprabhu. So Mahaprabhu must come to them. And what's the best way for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to come to them? Nityananda Prabhu was thinking, if something happens to me, then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will take it seriously. If I manifest a lot of bleeding and blood oozing out of my forehead, the news will spread. The devotees will run to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and say, Nitai is injured. And because Nitai is so dear to the heart of Mahaprabhu, Mahaprabhu will come running to the scene. And when he comes running to the scene, I will beg on behalf of Jagai and Madhai, and I will make Mahaprabhu give his mercy to these two drunkards, fallen souls. What compassion. This is Nityananda Prabhu, always extending his arms to everyone at all times. This is why our acharyas, headed by Vrindavan Das Thakur and Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami, the two most prominent biographers, authors in the life of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, both of them have been personally touched, personally empowered, and personally blessed by Nityananda Prabhu. Nityananda Prabhu was the one who blessed Raghunath Das Goswami. Nityananda Prabhu was the one who blessed Jiva Goswami. Bhaktivinoda Thakur mentions in his Navadvip Dham Mahatmya that Jiva Goswami was personally taken on parikrama of Navadvip by Nityananda Prabhu. Nityananda Prabhu brings Raghunath Das Goswami. Nityananda Prabhu uplifts and gives his mercy to Jiva Goswami. Nityananda Prabhu is the one who accepts Vrindavan Das Thakur and Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami. All of our acharyas have been fanatically attached to the lotus feet of Nityananda Prabhu. They go on to say that if not Nitai, we have no other hope. Our Gaur Govinda Maharaj, I remember hearing this many, many years ago. Srila Gaur Govinda Maharaj, 1993, Nityananda Trayodasi class. He sang very sweetly, very beautifully, an interesting phrase. And there he sings, Doya koro more Nitai, Doya koro more, Agatira gati Nitai, sadhu loka bole. What does this mean? Srila Gaur Govinda Maharaj was singing, Doya koro more Nitai, Doya koro more. Oh Nitai, please have mercy on me. Please have mercy on me. Why should you have mercy on me? Agatira gati Nitai, sadhu loka bole. The saints and the great sadhus have proclaimed very loudly that those who are shelterless, agati, gati means shelter, agati means without shelter. Those who have no shelter in this world, Nitai will give them shelter. Agatira gati Nitai, sadhu loka bole. Therefore, O Nitai, I have no shelter. Please accept me. Bhaja Nitai, Nitai, Nitai bhajo bhai, Nitai bine Aragati nai, Nitai, Nitai, Nitai bhajo bhai. Acharyas sing that, oh mind, please worship Nitai. Nitai bine aragati nai. Without Nitai, there is no way one can get Krishna. There is no way one can get Radha and Krishna. Not possible. Even Narottam Das Thakur has sung, He no Nitai bine bhai, Radha Krishna paite nai, Druda kori dharo Nitair pai, Druda kori dharo Nitair pai. Narottam Das Thakur says, without the mercy of Nityananda Prabhu, it's not possible to get Radha and Krishna. Well, how do we understand this? What has Radha Krishna to do with Nityananda Prabhu? Very simple. For Radha Krishna to appear in anybody's consciousness, the consciousness must be sthita prajna, must be steady. There should not be fluctuations in the consciousness. There should not be material ambitions and desires and wants and needs and greed and lust and anger. When so many agitating, provoking, irritating material fluctuations are there in the consciousness, then how can Radha Krishna have a steady, stable platform or an abode to perform their pastimes? For the consciousness of the jiva to be receiving Radha Krishna in his heart, it must be steady. It must be very beautiful, like Vrindavan Dham. But at the moment, it is asthita prajna. It is not steady. It is fluctuating. So therefore, we need Nitai. What does that mean? Well, in Vrindavan, in Kamvan, very specifically in Kamvan, there is a very prominent hill where you can find the cave of Vyomasur. It's called as Vyomasur Gufa. In Vrindavan, when we go for parikrama, we can see. That's the cave of Vyomasur. So it's described according to the pastime, when Krishna was fighting Vyomasur, Vyomasur was so powerful that Krishna was struggling, and even Krishna's crown fell to the ground. So even now there is an imprint there of Krishna's crown falling on a specific stone. And at that time, as Vyomasur was fighting Krishna and Krishna's crown fell to the ground, Mother Earth was trembling. And not far from there, you can see there is a footprint of Balaram, Baladev Prabhu. What does that mean? When Mother Earth was trembling and was fluctuating because of Vyomasur overpowering Krishna, Balaram placed his lotus feet and pressed Mother Earth with his spiritual strength. It's called Chit Bala. Bala means strength and Chit means spiritual. With his spiritual strength, Baladev Prabhu or Balaram, he pushed his lotus feet on Mother Earth and everything became steady. Everything became steady. So even the lotus feet of Balaram, the footprint of Balaram is also seen not far away from the falling of Krishna's crown there at Kamvan. So similarly, the Vyomasur of material energy is battling the Krishna in our heart, which means our desire to serve Krishna is being battled by Vyomasur of this material energy. And sometimes our crown falls off, which means our desire to serve Krishna becomes weak. And the whole earth in the form of our consciousness is trembling. At that time, we need the lotus feet of Balaram or Nityananda Prabhu to bring stability to our consciousness. And if Nitaira Koruna Hobe, if Nitai places his lotus feet on the earth of our heart, then all the fluctuations and temptations become stabilized and our consciousness becomes very steady and sthita, very fixed up. Then in that fixed platform, Radha and Krishna can arrive and perform their sweet pastimes. This is why Nitai is very, very fundamentally significant to all of us. Spiritually, he is Guru Tattva. When Nityananda Prabhu's potency reflects on any living being and Nityananda Prabhu's magnanimous compassion and Nityananda Prabhu's extreme attachment to Krishna, both of them, when they reflect on special jivas of this world, then they become Guru Tattva. They are recruited by Nityananda Prabhu in the department of Guru Tattva. So therefore we can say, Srila Prabhupada wrote a letter to one of his disciples called as Nityananda Das. Prabhupada, in his letter, he said, I have named you Nityananda Das. And there in that letter, Prabhupada explains that we can follow Nityananda Prabhu and get his mercy by serving the instructions of our Gurudev. Our Gurudev is the direct manifestation of Nityananda Prabhu. Also, an interesting point to be mentioned here is that all the spiritual masters, all the authentic, authorized, bona fide representatives of Guru Tattva, they're all manifestations of Nityananda Prabhu. So there is no your Guru and my Guru. It is our Guru, because it is the same Tattva. It is the same Nityananda Prabhu. Nityananda Prabhu is Guru Tattva, and when his potency reflects, then the manifested personality becomes Guru. So Guru is Guru. Just like when the moon reflects in water, it can form a certain shape. When moon reflects in oil, it can form a different shape. But the shape of the moon still remains the same. Here it may be a little elongated, here it may be a little spherical, here the shape may change on the reflection, but the source, that is the moon, remains the same. So similarly, our spiritual masters individually may have different natures and may look different, but they're all like the reflection of the manifestation of Nityananda Prabhu's supreme causeless mercy. Therefore, our acharyas have very beautifully bolstered and hammered this point in a very transcendental way to say that if we don't take shelter of Nityananda Prabhu, then our life becomes useless, because we are not tapping into that most compassionate nature, that representative of upliftment potency. Nitai Chaitanya nahi eshava vichar, namle prem de bahe ashrudhar. Chaitanya Charitamrita describes, Adilila Kaviraj Goswami describes that Nityananda Prabhu and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are most kind and merciful. Even Bhaktivinoda Thakur has mentioned this point, that for generations people have been hearing Krishna Leela. For generations and yugas people have been hearing Putana, Agasur, Bakasur, Dhenukasur. But Bhaktivinoda Thakur makes a very interesting point in Navadvip Dham Mahatmya. He says, Krishna's names, Krishna's forms, Krishna's qualities, Krishna's pastimes, Krishna's abode, Vrindavan Dham, have always been accessible. And people are hearing and chanting. But why is it that not all of them get the ultimate destination? Bhaktivinoda Thakur mentions because the fencing of offenses are stopping one from accessing the actual fruit of love of Godhead. The offenses, the offensive weeds, that's what chokes up the plant. But as far as Nityananda Prabhu is concerned and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is concerned, they don't consider any offenses. It's not that we stop committing offenses. Our nature, material nature, conditioned nature, is to commit offenses and make mistakes. But because they are the lords of this world in this specific era of Kali Yuga, they just don't consider these offenses. This is why, just to mention a few words from our acharyas before we conclude. Our acharyas mention in the context of Nityananda Prabhu very specifically. Narottam Das Thakur mentions, Nitai na bolila mukhe, majhilo samsara sukhe, vidya kule ki koribe tar. He says, if we don't chant the name of Nityananda Prabhu, if we don't hear the pastimes of Nityananda Prabhu, if we don't tap into the mercy and pray to Nityananda Prabhu, then what is the use of all of our learning? And what is the use of all this high-class birth? Even Lochan Das Thakur has said, Lochan bole mora nitai jebana bhajilo janiya shuniya she atma ghati hoilo. Lochan Das Thakur says, Lochan bole mora nitai jeba na bhajilo. Those who don't worship my Nitai, although he has come from that world to this world only to uplift everyone, still if Lochan bole, Lochan Das Thakur says, if my Nitai is not the object of your worship, janiya shuniya shei atma ghati hoilo, I must say very honestly, Lochan Das Thakur says, I must say very honestly that you have wasted your life drinking poison. Even in Chaitanya Bhagavat, something very, very interesting has come up. Chaitanya Bhagavat describes, Jai Gai Jai Shune E Shakala Punya Katha Vaishnava Aparadha Tara Na Janne Sarvatha. Vrindavan Das Thakur says, anyone who hears about Nityananda Prabhu, chants the names of Nityananda Prabhu, cries out for Nityananda Prabhu, such a person's even Vaishnava Aparadha, will not be considered. Dear devotees, this is the take home for today's class. Even Vaishnava Aparad will not be considered for someone who worships Nityananda Prabhu. So therefore, dear devotees, this Nitai should be the life and soul of our lives. This is why our Srila Prabhupada, a classic master stroke in Kali Yuga, such a Jagat Guru, he established Gaur Nitai deities in every part of this world, so that all of us, we can bow down before Gaur Nitai, we can do kirtan in front of Gaur Nitai, we can sing about the glories of Gaur Nitai, hear the pastimes of Gaur Nitai. And our Prabhupada, he gave us the English translation of Chaitanya Charitamrita, which was never done before. The pastimes of Nitai Chaitanya were never given in a universal language like this ever before. So Prabhupada has been the greatest empowered representative of the mercy of Nityananda Prabhu. And on the streets of New York City and Los Angeles, Prabhupada encouraged the distribution of Gaur Nitai happy dolls. And he was coming in a pack with some incense sticks. And at the back it said, if you just wave these incense sticks in front of these happy dolls, then you will get all prosperity and happiness and success. And people were waving the incense sticks around Nitai and Chaitanya. And this way, our acharyas have come together as Srila Prabhupada to spread the glories of Nityananda Prabhu. And they have individually also, they have done it through their songs and through their works. The final quotation for today, dear devotees. Nitai, Nitai, Nityananda naam je shunile ekbar, ananta janma, ananta papa, khanda hai tar. Chaitanya Bhagavat describes, just by once hearing and chanting the name Nityananda, once, Nityananda naam je shunile ekbar, once you hear the name of Nitai and say the name Nitai, Nityananda Prabhu, ananta janma, ananta papa, khanda hai tar. Unlimited sins of unlimited lifetimes are all washed off. Nityananda Prabhu is very, very eager to give us mercy. More eager than what we are to receive mercy, Nitai wants to fill our hands with mercy. Therefore, there's a saying, if God wants to give you with 10 hands, how can you with 2 refuse? So thank you, dear devotees, for kindly joining in. Let us offer our obeisances to Nityananda Prabhu and to all the wonderful acharyas who have been representatives of Nityananda Prabhu in our Gaudiya line, spreading the message and the teachings and the pastimes and the names of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu far and wide in this age of Kali Yuga. I tried my bit in the 60 minutes that was offered to me to share the ontological, tattva, philosophical identity and position, and at the same time, the compassionate nature of Nitai's heart as Guru Tattva and what our acharyas speak about Nitai. There's so much more that they have spoken. In fact, Chaitanya Bhagavat is predominated by the glories of Nityananda Prabhu. Vrindavan Das Thakur writes that, I got distracted because of over glorification of Nitai, that I'm not able to finish all the pastimes of Mahaprabhu because I am busy glorifying Nityananda Prabhu. So our acharyas have been very transcendently, fanatically attached to Nityananda Prabhu. So let us also join the party and worship Nitai and Gauranga to purify our heart and make spiritual advancement. Finally, to conclude, Srila Prabhupada's very dear god brother, Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj from the Gaudiya Math would, in his class, while speaking, he would keep saying, Gaur Hari, Nitai Gaur Hari, Nitai Chaitanya, Nitai Chaitanya, Nitai Gaur Hari, Nitai Gaur Hari, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Nitai Chaitanya, Dayal Nitai, Dayal Nitai. So some of his followers and disciples even asked him, in a 1-hour class, 60-minute class, 30 minutes or 20 minutes are just gone and saying Nitai Chaitanya, Nitai Chaitanya. What's the philosophy behind that? And Srila Sridhar Maharaj would say that I am a conditioned soul. I may make mistakes. So I'm praying to Nityananda Prabhu to correct my words and my mood. And if I add the names of Nityananda Prabhu, then there is more potency to what I'm speaking. So in that mood, we offer our obeisances to all the wonderful acharyas who have written songs, commentaries, and books glorifying Nityananda Prabhu. Last but not the least, my obeisances to the organizers of this wonderful series. Thank you so much for lovingly, affectionately, like Nityananda Prabhu, accepting the Jagai Madhai of my heart and giving me this very nice opportunity to serve Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu for the occasion of Nityananda Trayodashi, which is at the end of this seminar. So thank you so much, and all the wonderful Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis. I offer my obeisances at your lotus feet. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo namo namah. Thank you so much.
Thank you, dear Amarendra Prabhu. That was such a shower. It was like an ocean pouring down on us of the mercy of Lord Nityananda. Thank you. You really took us deep into this topic. Please do stick around, everyone, for the questions and answers, because a lot of great questions have already come in, and we will probably not be able to get to all of them. I apologize in advance. If you've asked a question and it doesn't get featured, because we have about 20 more minutes, maybe 25, that we will go and do Q&A. But before we do that, I wanted to make a couple of very brief announcements, and I will share my screen to do so. So this is the start of the Nitai Pada Kamala series. It's a 4-part series on the life and teachings of Lord Nityananda. Today, obviously, we started off with Amarendra Prabhu. This series is organized by the Bhakti Center in Manhattan, or in New York City, and it's co-hosted by several centers in the region. You can see their names and their websites. New Jersey, Tobacco, ISKCON of Central New Jersey, ISKCON New York, which is actually the Brooklyn Temple, as well as 26 2nd Avenue in New York, Bergen County, New Jersey, Richmond, Virginia, and Gitanagri Eco Farm in Pennsylvania. All these centers have their own programs, so if you wish, please check out their websites. They have wonderful speakers that they feature, and obviously the Bhakti Center also has a lot of great programs other than this series. Our next session will feature His Holiness Radhanath Swami, session 2. He will speak about Lord Nityananda's pastimes, same time, same channels, Zoom and YouTube next week, next Saturday, 9 a.m. New York time. And you can see the other time, 7:30 p.m. in India, 2 p.m. UK, and 3 p.m. in Central Europe. After that, we will have Adi Gadadhar Prabhu from Atlanta. He speaks really relishable, really deep, wonderful Harikatha, and he will speak on more pastimes of Lord Nityananda. And we will end this series with Badahari Prabhu and Achyuta Gopi Devi talking about Lord Nityananda's teachings in song. So they are going to do a presentation which will feature bhajans, reflections by themselves, as well as questions and answers. So please do join in for all these sessions. And as I mentioned, next Saturday will be His Holiness Radhanath Swami. So with that, I would like to ask questions. Hopefully we can get through as many as possible, Amarendra Prabhu. So the first question comes from Advaita Chandra Prabhu from Houston. If Balaram himself is not present during the Leelas of Radha and Krishna, but he is also Vrindavan Dham, then isn't he witnessing the Leela of Radha and Krishna? Can you please speak about this?
Yes, Balaram Prabhu witnesses the pastimes as the Dham in Shantaras and participates in the pastimes of Radha and Krishna as Ananga Manjari. But he doesn't, as Balaram himself doesn't go in. Because when Balaram is seen by the gopis, this has been explained in the 10th canto Srimad Bhagavatam, when Barha Pidam Natavara Vapuhu Karanayoho Karnikaram Bhibrat Vasaha Kanaka Kapisham Vaijayantim Chamalam Randran Venuhu Adhara Sudaya Purayan Gopa Vrindaihi Vrindaranyam Swapadaramanam Pravishat Gita Kirti. This verse comes as the 5th verse of the 21st chapter of the 10th canto Venu Gita. And there is a word that has come called as Gopa Vrindaihi. Gopa Vrindaihi means Krishna's friends. Srila Sanatan Goswami and other acharyas describe that actually Balaram was also present there. But the gopis never say you are there with Balaram, because that spoils their conjugal romantic mood with Krishna. Because when they see Balaram, the mood that in which they see Balaram is that of reverence. So automatically the gopis put their veil. They don't look at the face of Balaram Prabhu. So when they have to speak about Balaram, they say, oh Krishna, you are there with all your friends. So Sanatan Goswami says to keep the mood of the gopis intact, they're not naming the word Balaram, because when Balaram comes in his male form, then Sakhya Ras is prominent. And when he comes in his female form, then Madhurya Ras is prominent. And when he comes in a Shanta form as Dham, all rasas are prominent.
Thank you, Amarendra Prabhu. The next question comes from Amritananda Prabhu from ISKCON of Central New Jersey. What is the significance of so many expansions? It is understandable that there is a difference between being served, that is Krishna, and to serve, which is Balaram. So if the mood of Lord Balaram is to serve and he's doing so in every expansion, is there any other purpose that is specific to different expansions other than this basic fundamental mood of rendering service?
Yes, it is about serving in different moods. Like, for example, the mood of Vaikuntha is called as Shuddha Aishwarya Prem. Shuddha Aishwarya Prem means pure, untainted, unalloyed opulence, awe and reverence. So there may be sweetness, very little sweetness there, but it's all overpowered with majority of opulence. So when Balaram serves in Vaikuntha, the mood is Shuddha Aishwarya Prem. Now, when he serves in Dwarka, it is called as Madhurya Mishrit Aishwarya Prem, which means the prominence is that of Aishwarya Prem or opulence, but there's very, very, very little presence of sweetness or Madhurya. Now, the sweetness factor is increased in the service in Mathura, and therefore it is called as Aishwarya Mishrit Madhurya Prem. So I'll repeat the terms again. In Vaikuntha, it is called as Shuddha Aishwarya Prem. Shuddha Aishwarya Prem. Pure opulence, the mood of pure opulence. Then in Dwaraka, it's called as Madhurya Mishrit Aishwarya Prem. Mishrit means mixed, and Madhurya means sweetness. So opulence of Dwaraka, when it's mixed with a bit of sweetness, that's the mood of service in Dwaraka. When the opulence of Vaikuntha gets mixed with little sweetness, that's the mood of Dwaraka. Now, when more sweetness gets mixed into that, so much so that it's predominated by sweetness and this minority of opulence, that is called Mathura Bhav. So that is Aishwarya Mishrit Madhurya Prem. So it's basically Madhurya Prem or sweetness, but there's very little tinge of Aishwarya. And when that Aishwarya gets completely eclipsed with inconceivable volumes of sweetness, that is called Braja Prem. And that is called Shuddha Madhurya Prem, where even if there's more opulence than Vaikuntha, the sweetness is so much more that everything gets eclipsed. So yes, Balaram, the fundamental vanilla, let's say if you have a chocolate, not a chocolate, but an ice cream, you can have different flavors. You can have with chocolate, we can have with strawberry, etc. But the fundamental base, let's say, is vanilla. Vanilla with chocolate, vanilla with strawberry, etc. So the vanilla base for Balaram or Baladev Prabhu is service. But the flavoring on the top of strawberry or chocolate is Shuddha Aishwarya, Madhurya Mishrit Aishwarya, Aishwarya Mishrit Madhurya, and Shuddha Madhurya. So in this way, different moods are seen on the basis of fundamental service.
Thank you. So the next question comes from Mahalakshmi Devi. Her question is, how do we please Nityananda Prabhu? His appearance day is coming in the month of February. How do we please him on this auspicious occasion? And are there any specific practical prayers, austerities, or practices that we can observe?
Absolutely. Nityananda Prabhu has said how to please him. Bhaja Gauranga, Kaha Gauranga, Laha Gaurange Namare, Je Jana Gauranga Bhaje, She hoy amar pranare, She hoy Nitai ro pranare. So Nitai has said, you speak about Gauranga, you chant the names of Gauranga, you worship Gauranga and connect more jivas to the lotus feet of Gauranga. And if you do that, Je Jana Gauranga Bhaje, anyone who does Gaur Bhajan, She hoy Nitai ro pranare, that person will become the life and soul of Nitai. And if someone becomes my life and soul, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu must accept you. So this is point number one. By serving Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nitai is pleased. Point number 2, by reclaiming more fallen souls and connecting them to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Nitai, please. Point number 3, Srila Prabhupada's letter in this regard is very prominent. Let me get to that letter so that I can quote it. Okay, this is to Makhanlal Prabhu, October 24th, 1976, Srila Prabhupada. How to approach Nitai is the topic. Nityananda is the principle of Guru Tattva. So Gurudev is an incarnation of Nitai. Anyone strictly following the instruction of Guru is following Nityananda. The price one has to pay if he wants to become Krishna conscious is that he must dedicate himself to following the order of the spiritual master or Mahat Seva. That is the best way to become Krishna conscious. And Krishna is none different from Nitai. You must pray to Nitai to help you to become dedicated in the service of your Guru. Krishna consciousness cannot be achieved artificially. You should approach Nityananda Prabhu through your spiritual master. So I hope that letter of Srila Prabhupada answers this question.
Thank you. Allegra from the Bhakti Center community in New York asks perhaps a related question. It is lovely to relish these pastimes, but we also want to gain access to Lord Balaram and Lord Nityananda in our own spiritual lives. How do we observe the presence of Baladev and Nityananda in the world?
Well, we can see Pancha Tattva in this world in a very practical way. First and foremost, Advaita Acharya is the one who prays for Mahaprabhu, right? Advaita Acharya's role is to pray. Second, after that, Nityananda Prabhu's role is to go and connect with that living being. Third, after that, Shrivas' role is to host that living being. Fourth, Gadadhar's role is to teach that living being. And fifth, Mahaprabhu's role is to accept that living being. This we see in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. I'll repeat again. Advaita Acharya's role is to pray. Advaita Acharya in Navadvip, out of compassion, he was praying. Tulasi dala matrena jalasya chulukena va vikrinite swa atmanam bhaktebhyo bhaktavatsalaha. It was Advaita Acharya who was praying with Ganga water and Tulsi leaves, according to the Gautamiya Tantra, to his Shaligram Srila, saying, my Lord, you must come, look at this world. So we can see in our lives, there has been an Advaita Acharya who has prayed for us. We have been like that Navadvip Dham, where we think we are very spiritual, but we have been devoid of genuine spiritual substance. We have had, maybe we are still like that, at least in the past, before we became devotees, definitely we may have experienced that, where we thought we were very spiritual, but our situation was like that of Navadvip Dham. Looked like a Dham, felt like a Dham, but people there were not following the general principles, the genuine principles. So there was an Advaita Acharya in our life who prayed for us. It was Advaita Acharya who was praying for all the fallen conditioned souls. So there was someone, we may know, we may not know, who has prayed for us. Also in our past lives, we may have, moved on from that body to this body, and our relatives in past life, they may have done last rites for us and prayed. Wherever this soul goes, wherever this living being goes, God, please protect him. So they've all been Advaita Acharyas in our life. That's the practical way to understand all the different instruments of the Lord's compassion who prayed for us in this life and in past lives are all Advaita Acharyas. Second, it doesn't stop there. In practical life, after praying for us, there have been people who have walked up to us and given us books or invited us for home programs or prasadam or spoken out the philosophy or at least connected with us with friendship. They are all representatives of Nitai because they came to us. We didn't go to them. We were not interested. We may have even, neglected them in the first meeting. We may have even found faults with them. We may have even argued and criticized and mocked at them, like Jagai and Madai did to Nitai. But they never lost hope. There have been people in our lives who came and connected with us. So that's the empowered representative of Nitai. Then there have been temples that we visited or centers that we visited or homes that we visited. That's all been Srivas Thakur. That's all Srivas Angan for us. The home ground of cultivation, where we chant, we learn the principles, etc. After that, for advanced education, advanced study, we have a Gadadhar Pandit in our life, who teaches Bhagavatam, who teaches this intricate, deep, intense principles on the path of bhakti. And then after being the recipient of Advaita Acharya, Nityananda Prabhu, Srivas, and Gadadhar's mercy, we now stand a chance to be accepted at the lotus feet of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So what to speak of practically seeing Nitai? We can practically see the Panch Tattva in our life. And Kaviraj Goswami says, Panch Tattva eka vastu kichu nahi bhed, lila rasa aswadite vivida vibhed. That it is one God who becomes two as Radha Krishna, who again become one as Chaitanya, and that one becomes five as Panch Tattva. So they all can be practically seen in our lives.
Thank you, Amarendra Prabhu. So the next question comes from Dauji Nitai Prabhu. In all other appearances, Krishna and Balaram seem to come in the same family, same time, to have their pastimes together from the beginning, like Ram and Lakshman, for example. In this pastime of Gaur Nitai, they come in two different families, and they also wait for so long to meet and start their Leela together. Is there any specific tattva behind it that we should be aware of?
I'm pretty sure as far as the difference in their time is concerned, I'm pretty sure Srila Radhanath Swami Maharaj is going to speak about that next session when I hope he speaks about the childhood pastimes of Nitai, because I've heard Maharaj speak about that in the past, about Nityananda Prabhu coming 13 years and the significance behind that. So I'll just hope and pray that Maharaj speaks about that next session. But as far as different families are concerned, yes and no, because they still appeared as Vishwarup and Vishwambhar. Vishwambhar is Nimai, and Nitai also expanded as Vishwarup. So in this way, just like we see in Krishna Leela, Balaram appears to Rohini Devi. Actually, if you see, he doesn't come from Yashoda Maya, comes from Rohini Devi. There are different mothers, right? So similarly, we see here Padmavati Devi and Shashi Mata are different mothers. But at the same time, just like we can see in Krishna Leela, Balaram in Vrindavan is Rohini Nandan, and he steps out as a different Balaram, Sankarshan Balaram. Similarly here, there is one Nitai as Vishwarup in the same family, and when he's in another family, he comes as Nityananda Prabhu. So we see in the same way, in Navadvip and outside Navadvip, in Ekachakra, outside Ekachakra. So in this way, we can see yes and no at the same time.
Thank you. We'll probably be able to get in one, maybe two questions more, Amarendra Prabhu, before we have to stop. Ranga Devi Gopika Devi asks, can you speak about how we can get the mercy of Srimati Radharani and Krishna by worshipping Nityananda?
How we can, well, we covered that in the class, that Nityananda Prabhu, he brings in stability to our consciousness. Radha and Krishna, for them to perform their pastimes, they need a Nikunja. They need a very beautiful grove. Braje Radha Krishna Seva Pabo Ei Abhilashi. Jai Tumara Sharana Loi Tara Vancha Purna Hoi Kripa Kori Koro Tare Vrindavanavasi. So Radha Krishna perform their pastimes in the Nikunjas, in the very beautiful groves of Vrindavan. But for that, our heart must become Vrindavan in the first place. Vrindavan means two things. It must have stability. From a materialistic perspective, there should not be fluctuations. And yet at the same time, there must be an explosion of devotion from the spiritual perspective. And this is what Gaur Nitai bring in. Nityananda Prabhu brings in stability to our consciousness so that there's no fluctuations with man, apaman, shita, ushna, sukha, dukkha, the dualities of this world of happiness and distress and honor and dishonor. That fluctuation of consciousness is not a good platform where Radha and Krishna can perform their pastimes. So Nitai with his lotus feet brings in stability and offers that stable heart to Gauranga. Gauranga then gives love of Godhead and makes that into Vrindavan. And when he makes it into Vrindavan, then Radha Krishna come and perform their pastimes.
Thank you. And we'll take one last question. I apologize for the other questions that we did not get to. You will have a chance to ask on the other three sessions following this one, the next 3 Saturdays. So the last question comes from Venkata Bhatta Prabhu from our organizing team here at the Bhakti Center. So his understanding is that the glance of Karunadakshay Vishnu, which impregnates Prakriti, is Shiva, and Prakriti is his consort. So this suggests that Lord Shiva and Balaram/Nityananda have a special connection. Is that your understanding? If so, can you speak about it?
Absolutely. So Karana Udakashai Vishnu, when he glances and the jivas come from his glance, this is in Vedic culture, it's very beautifully explained that you don't glance at another person's wife. So this material world is Durga Devi, who is the eternal consort of Lord Shiva. So Karana Udakashai, when he wants to glance, he doesn't glance at Prakriti directly. So what happens is he expands in a form who can carry that glance. And that is Shiva, Lord Shiva, because he is the eternal consort of Durga Devi. So he carries those jivas and then he impregnates Prakriti Devi. So we can understand this in a very wonderful way, that you have a power generator or a power source, and then you have those copper wires which carry the electric charge, and then you have the bulbs which are connected to them and which get lit up. So the original powerhouse generator is the Karana Udakashai Vishnu, and the copper wire which is connecting, well, the generator doesn't come home, it's far away, and the wires which are connecting, that is Lord Shiva. And the electricity that is carried through that wire is the glancing of the jivas. Oh, the glance is Lord Shiva, and the electricity that is carried are the jivas. And then the electric bulb which is connected is Prakriti Devi. So the electric bulb is lit up by those wires, the electricity coming through those wires, ultimately coming from the power generator. So yes, Karana Udakashai Vishnu being the source, Lord Shiva being the wire, the jivas being the electricity, and Durga Devi or Prakriti being lit up by that. That's as far as Lord Shiva's role is concerned. And Baladev Prabhu, yes, he's an intrinsic part of all of this, because he is the source for that Karana Udakashai Vishnu who holds all the jivas within him. And this is why Ananta Shesh is the Ishtadev for Lord Shiva. He's the Ishtadev for Lord Shiva. So even the snake on the throat of Lord Shiva is the manifestation, or let's say we could say the representative of Anantadev or Balarama. So Lord Shiva is constantly remembering his Ishtadev, just like we remember our Ishtadev on the throat in the form of Tulsi beads, chanting the names of Krishna. So Lord Shiva is also having his Ishtadev in the form of the snake, Anantashesh, on his neck. So yes, Balaram or Baladev Prabhu is the worshipable Ishtadev for even Gopeshwar Mahadev.
Thank you so much, Amarendra, and thank you for all of you who asked your amazing questions. As Yashod Dalal mentioned, we're sorry that we don't have time to get to every question, although every single question was just floored in terms of your ability, Prabhu, to just quote Shastra so articulately explain. It was beautiful to observe and enriching for all of us. We're really grateful to have you here. We hope to have you back more and more for future series. If people want to just generally stay connected with you or find your classes, what's the best way for them to follow your schedule or find recordings?
They can write an email at amarendradas.rgs@gmail.com. That's AMARENDRA, Amarendra, DASA, dasa.rgs, Radha Govindaswamy, @gmail.com. So they can write me emails, they can stay connected. I'll be very happy to communicate and serve to whatever I can.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Okay, so that is there. You might get a few hundred emails after today. I hope you don't mind. But if you'd like to keep in touch, please feel free to do so. We also have ways you can keep in touch with us here at the Bhakti Center. We have our newsletter. If you'd like to subscribe so you can get emails understanding to get updates about future programs that are happening. We have a temple WhatsApp. It's a admin post only, so it's not a you won't get too many messages other than events that are coming up that you want to get input in terms of what's happening. We have a YouTube channel. You can follow us on Instagram, our website, community groups. All of that has been posted into our chat board just now. If you'd like to take a look and see and find ways that you can stay connected. Next week's session will be on this same link. We'll have His Holiness Radhanath Swami with us. We hope you can join us again to continue for this entire series. We are again very grateful to you, Amarendra Prabhu, grateful for all of you joining. And as is the custom with all of our events, we will take a moment to unmute all of you, and you can offer some gratitude or a Haribol to His Grace Amarendra Prabhu to let him know how grateful we are for the time he spent with us. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Thank you.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Krishna Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Krishna.
Amarendra
Thank you
Prabhu,
very
thank
much.
you so much.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam.
Krishna Prabhuji, thank you very
Thank you
much.
for being
Thank you
here.
so much,
Hare
Maharaj.
Krishna, Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe Amarendra Prabhu.
Thank you, thank you so much.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
Hare Krishna, Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
Patita Pavan Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur
Jai.
Premanande. Hari Hari.
Oh,
Hari Bol, Hari
thank
Bol.
you so much.
Hari Bol.